What's going on, everybody? I'm just trying to get this going here. I'm just trying to get this going here. I'm just trying to get this going here. I'm just trying to get this going. I'm gonna try and do a live stream. I'm gonna see how it goes. I'm trying to watch myself on the computer. I'm gonna try and do a live stream. I'm gonna see how it goes. I'm trying to watch myself on the computer. But I'm getting a lot of feedback, so we'll see how it goes. That's awesome, Jordan. Keep it up. If you guys have any questions or any comments, go ahead and post them in the chat. I'm on the road right now. Obviously, I own my own powder coating company, but I also work for another company. We sell powder coating and liquid paint equipment. So I am on the road servicing one of our accounts, and I'm bored in a hotel. So I thought I'd go live and just see what's going on with you guys. I get a lot of emails, a lot of messages through YouTube asking questions on powder coating. So if you guys have any questions or comments on anything you want to see in the future, this is a great time to go ahead and let me know. I see about 6 of you online right now. I might be one of them, so 5-ish. Lars is on board. Jordan's on board. The company I work for is called American Industrial Corporation. So they're out of Indianapolis, Indiana. We just cover the Midwest states. My territory is Iowa, Nebraska, and the southern part of South Dakota. So we represent, as far as powder coating, we represent the Gema brand. So we just got done putting in a $750,000 project in Perry, Iowa, actually, of all places. They make disc blades for plows, and they've got 2 automated systems, and they're probably going to put in another one. How about you, Jordan? What's your history? You got a small company, or have you been doing this for a while? We do not sell powder. You might be thinking of APC out of Illinois. My personal company right now, Powder Coating, we buy a lot of stuff from them because we can usually get it next day. We get like the John Deere green, the John Deere yellow. We actually get our clear coat from them, which is, it's not bad. Okay, I think we're in Tennessee, Jordan, so we've got a rep over there. What kind of equipment are you using? What's the best economical startup system? What's your budget, Lars? What you got to spend? Are you talking like $100 or are you talking like a couple thousand? There's a big difference in those 2 categories. I would never do the Harbor Freight gun. I've used it and it was horrendous. If you're gonna start off small dollar, I would do, yep, okay, $100. So buy the Eastwood gun, get the dual voltage one. Everything you spray, doing the 2 setting, which is your highest voltage, and then if you're gonna do a coat over that, then you're going to want to knock it down to the lower voltage. It's a decent gun. It's not going to do like complex parts very well unless they're hot, but just to kind of get the habit of powder coating, it's a good gun. Gema gas oven. Yep. Jordan, you got a pretty nice setup. Benjamin. So those of you guys who just saw Ben make a comment there, he runs Praska Boys Garage, and he has very he has a very high following, which is very unearned because he just puts up builds of four-wheelers and bikes and crap. It's a joke. I'm just kidding, Ben. So Ben does really cool builds. He's actually building a four-wheeler for my kids. My last video where we powder coated that, he's in that video. He's gonna build it hopefully sooner than later because my kids are driving me freaking nuts. But Ben is he's pretty special when it comes to building this mini bikes, four-wheelers, go-karts, rebuilding engines. He's a great source for all that information on his channel on Praska Boys Garage. Let's see, you can build a Columbia coatings and powder. Can build the Columbia coatings. Jordan, I need you to explain that. What do you mean you can build a Columbia coatings and powder by the pound guns for under $200? Like used, I assume? He's built 2. You're gonna have to explain that, Jordan. I'm not sure what you're talking about. So like you're piecing guns together? What are you making them from? I'm trying to get Columbia Coatings to send me one of their guns because I want to do a demo of my KCI gun, the Eastwood gun. I want to do their gun, and then my GEMA Pro. And I've been talking with the owner over there, and he says he's going to send one, but he keeps delaying. So from scratch, new the main board, gun housing, and high voltage cascade under 100 for the set. So you're buying all the parts off eBay from China, I suppose. What kind of voltage are you getting out of that gun? That'd be interesting to know. Really? Can you control the microamps? To all you other people out there on here, feel free to ask questions or leave comments what you need to see. Cast takes it okay. I mean, any metal is going to absorb the powder. You're going to get some outgassing issues if you don't outgas it first. You might want to put a primer down, like a outgassing primer or something like that to help with that. It's a porous material, so. All right, Jordan, do you have a channel? I need to check this gun out. Yeah, so on the GEMA guns, that's kind of how they work. A lot of people are like, oh, drop your amps, but the voltage, the kV is actually limited by your microamps. So a lot of people on the older guns, or if you have a Chinese gun or a lower level gun, you can only control the kV. And in that case, you got to drop that stuff down sometimes. But on the high-end guns, the kV will limit out by your microamps. Okay. Well, I'd like to see if you have pictures or anything, Jordan. You can email me, dan@rightnowpowdercoating.com. I'd love to see what you're building. Especially if you're building and selling them. I'm a businessman. We can move some guns if they're quality. If you got a demo, you can send it over. I'd love to take a look at it. Ben, did you leave us? Did you leave? Did you go work on my kid's four-wheeler? Hopefully. You should get in the garage and work on the four-wheeler. They're not getting more patient. Does powder coating affect heat treatments of metals? I'm not sure what you're asking there. I assume you mean like, does it make the metal, like change the characteristics of the metal? Because you can like heat treat metal to make it stronger or weaker. Um, it probably depends on the metal. We do a ton of aluminum rims and we bake them at 400 degrees. Once they hit that temperature, we do it for 10 minutes, which is our normal cure schedule. And I don't believe that impacts the durability of the metal. On steel and that kind of thing, I don't think you're going to have a problem. I mean, people have been powder coating forever. So our high temp coats, that like that exhaust I did on that four-wheeler, we were at 450 for 30 minutes. So I don't think you're going to affect the metal at that temperature. You're not going to make it weaker by any means. I don't know if that answers your question or not. So my boy Ben's working in a shop tonight, and he's got his YouTube pulled up apparently. So that's good. Hopefully he does a little clip of us on there. Is that what you were asking, Lars? About like the durability of the metal? I've built a few and had them powder by the pounds and club coatings. I don't think you'd get in legal trouble. You're buying them off eBay, right? The parts. I can't. I mean, if they're available to the public, Columbia Coatings can't come after you, and Powder by the Pound can't come after you. You bet. So I think you'd be fine. I think the main thing, like I keep seeing all these companies selling the China rip-off gun of Gema, and I actually just saw my first one. I was out at a customer's place, and they bought one like a year ago, and the vibrator for the box part of it to vibrate the box is air driven, which it sounded like a jet was getting ready to take off. So I I can't imagine that their KV settings, their microamps, their cascade, any of that stuff is worth anything. So I I had my first gun was a KCI gun, and it's based out of Korea, but there's a place in Illinois that services it, or at least did, and that was a huge step up from Eastwood. But I haven't been any of the like Columbia Coatings. I haven't done their gun. I didn't even know Powder by the Pound had a gun until now. But I haven't done any of those like super entry level. The KCI gun was about $3,000, and the Gema Pro that I sell now, that's a $6,100 retail gun. So they are by far the high end of the marketplace, but it's also the best gun I've ever used. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, I bought it before I sold it. So, well, Jordan, we need to talk then, because that I like I said, I'm trying to get Columbia Coatings to send me one of their guns so I can try it out. I've heard nothing but bad things about the Eastwood gun. Does anyone on here have one of those? Jordan, do you know what gun I'm talking about with the Chinese gun that looks exactly like the Gema gun, but it's definitely not. Like they copied everything, but they can't put Gema on the screen. Okay. Yeah. I did you say you had a Gema gun, Jordan? I know the Pro unit's the only gun that will do a, okay, like OptiFlex original or OptiFlex 2? Okay. So if you have, I would call Ace, call your distributor up, whoever you're using, and see if you can demo the Pro unit, even if you're not like 100% into it. The advances they made in the last 5 years is ridiculous. So the new gun has a better pump design. Instead of a 90 degree, it's a 45, so you don't get like the impact fusion in that area. And then they took the insert and they actually put the Venturi in it, so it's a one part for that. So the pump and injector, all that stuff works so much better. The settings on it, if you do a lot of flat panels, it's got a 110 kV setting, and so you can actually lay out like flat panels. You can lay them out really nice. The texture is smoother, and you get a lot better transfer. I have a late model too with the 45. You might have. I'll have to look into that. I don't think they sold it with a 45-degree pump. You might have bought a upgraded pump because it'll fit in there and all the hose connections are the same. So some people upgrade. Maybe your rep had you upgrade to the new pump. But I don't. The original Opti 2 did not come with that pump. But it's a. I don't. I'm sure you like it, but it's a pretty nice setup. I just recommend Eastwood to you. Just recommend it. Okay, I'm sorry. Lars, so the Eastwood $100 gun is a good beginner gun. I'm talking about their new pro gun, like the 1000 or whatever. It's over $1,000 for that gun. But everyone I've seen on YouTube that reviews it says it's crap. I tried to get them to send me one, but I don't have enough followers, I guess, so they wouldn't send me one. But I have two of their $100 guns because we use them on signs because you can clean them out in seconds, and then you can buy the canisters and you can just put all your different colors in them and switch them out really, really fast, like 15 to 20-second clean outs versus my box gun, which if you're under a pound, it's hard for the pickup tube to pick it up, and then it probably takes 3 to 4 minutes. And when you're working production, you just want to crank them out. So back when we were doing cups, I had a professional gun, but I used my Eastwood gun for all of my cups because I could do 4 cups in one color, switch it out real quick, and do another 4 in a different color. Colton's dead. VW rooms. Kim Strip took up. Yeah, so some of these wheels have a European primer on them. They are super, super durable. It's like a European powder coat. And even with B17, it can take us 12 to 24 hours to strip these things. So unfortunately, you're going to have to just struggle through putting the stripper on it, scraping it off, putting it on, scraping it off. And then once you get it thin enough, what we'll do is we'll put it into the oven, dry it out completely, and then we'll sandblast it. David, yes, that's a good gun. If you've sprayed with anything other than the OptiFlex Pro, going to that gun is amazing. Full-size electric oven for free. Well, that's a good deal. You got a free oven. So you must have like a household oven, I'm guessing, Jay. You can do that. I would recommend you flip it over, spray the back, flip it over on the rack, spray the front, and then put it in. Worst case scenario, you're only going to have a couple points that are touching on the rack, and you can just touch them up with like a little spray bomb. That way you aren't, when you cook powder and then try and blend powder onto that, it doesn't work well. You want it to all melt together at the same time. Okay, yeah. If you have a big enough blaster, you can get through that stuff. I think our cabinet blaster is we run at about 50 psi off a 25 horsepower 85 CFM air compressor, which is the thing's huge and it's loud and it sucks, but it's a pretty good air compressor. I would really love to get a screw compressor or a diesel one to get the CFM I need, but we strip almost everything before we blast it if it fits in our containers. I have not tried the new 10X, but I keep hearing a lot of comments on it, and it seems like it's 50-50. We use coal slag that we can buy locally in 50-pound bags, and we go through about 100 pounds a week on 4 to 5 sets of wheels plus a handful of miscellaneous parts. My neighbor in my small town, he actually just bought a pretty big sandblasting outfit, and then he goes like 3 hours away and he buys pallets of media at a time. So I got to talk to him about what he's using. We're only paying, I think, like $10 a bag though. So I don't, do you know, Jordan, what that 10X blast media costs? Um, it depends what you're doing, in my opinion. So you want to make sure that if the crushed glass, if that's what you're doing, it's not beaded, because if it's beaded, you're not going to get a profile. Crushed glass is going to leave a smaller profile. So it really depends what you're doing um, with the media. 25 a bag. How much longevity do you get out of a bag, Jordan? I've never used granite, so I can't really speculate on that. I would think glass would wear out a lot quicker, personally. And that's the coal slag. It's readily available and it does a good job, and that's why we use it. We don't get too much of a profile, but it gives us a good profile for that mechanical grip. And we're just looking to clip again. We strip the surface and then we're just using it literally to give us that mechanical grip and clean off whatever residues left over. Yeah, Jay. So powder coating is applying a powder paint, whereas Cerakote is a liquid, but it's a whole different chemistry. And I can't even get into it because I don't know it, but it's a different makeup altogether. They have air cure, they have temperature cure, and they have government coatings, aerospace coatings. So um, Cerakoting has a whole different market than powder does, and it's super expensive. We just bought a quart of like graphite black H series Cerakote. I think it was $60 plus like another $10-15 shipping just for a quart of it. So the guy that we're doing it for, he makes mounting brackets that hold scopes and that you can attach them to your guns for tripods and stuff like that. And that's what they want on it. So basically, from what we do, we spray it. Well, you got to prep the part. They have very good instructions on it. So it's like a degreasing, a sandblasting, outgassing. You let it cool, you spray it. So you got to put it in the oven for like an hour at 300 degrees, outgas it, let it cool, spray it, and then you put it back in the oven at 300 for an hour, and that's what cures it out. But it's a super durable, thin. It's thin. It's not that thick. Powder's a lot thicker, but it's scratch resistant and it's very durable. If you go to, I don't remember, it's like Cerakote.com, but it's a prismatic company. You can read their tech sheets and it goes through it. I've used TechLine too, Jordan. Um, I don't know if it's easier to spray, it's just different. We did one of their high polished coatings that it's such a high temperature on headers. I think the instructions literally had them running their motor to get it up to temp because my oven won't go hot enough. But yeah, they're not a bad company. We use a lot of Cerakote though. Uh, how do you filter dry your compressed air? So Lars, we have a polar air compressor, and then we bought one of their compressors, and so they're all rated at CFM. So we have an 85 CFM air compressor, and so I think it's like 110 dryer because you always want to go a little bit bigger on your dryer, but it's basically a big refrigerator box. We run hose that comes out of our compressor. It goes into the dryer and then it comes out, and there's a bunch of filter, I think two filters in there that pull the moisture and oils out of it. And we've had it for 3 years now. We had our filters go off on us about 6 months ago, and you can get in there and remove the filters. You can replace them. We actually ended up just cleaning them out, which I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but I'm a cheap guy. So we cleaned them out, let them dry, put them back in, and we've been going another 6 months without issue. I think they're a couple $100 to replace a piece. I have less issues with dry spray. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we've only done, I think, two of their products, but yeah, I mean, dry, when you put the Cerakote on or uh, the TechLine coat, any of this high temp ceramic coating, your overlap is key. And we do a lot of liquid spraying because we have a wheel repair business, so we're used to painting. We have detail guns, so they're not the big HVLPs, but they're just small. When you're doing that painting, it's very important that you overlap because this product flashes out super quick. And if you do that, you can get rough, dry spots. And when you're doing headers, you've got all these tight areas that you're trying to get that paint into. So they tell you to get your fan down so it's like super tight and then get into those areas first and then work your way out. And it can definitely be difficult. So I understand what you're saying there, Jordan. Colton's dad, yeah. I would agree with you there. I work with a lot of companies that have issues with fish eyes in their powder and they're using the desiccant filter. So I don't understand these big companies that don't have the air dryers. Like it just doesn't make sense. They're expensive, but they're definitely worth the money. Yep, you got to replace them all the time. Yeah, I mean, your best bet is a chrome-like powder, but the problem is, if you look at any image, when you clear coat it, it dulls it out. You might actually, if you can find someone that's got like a tumbler polisher, they make a ceramic coating that if you can polish it, will actually make them look chrome. It's a lot of work, especially for a head when you have all those fins. Jordan, have you used Spectrachrome or Cosmichrome? Those products are garbage. They are super hard to apply. Everyone I've talked to that's bought that system has regretted it. Yep. Yeah, Cerakote's Glacier Chrome is pretty good. Yeah, Jordan. So, from what I've understood, when you go to training, you go to their facility and they have their water perfect and all their chemicals are perfect and everything comes out great. And then you buy the system, you take it home, and then it's in your environment and they're all just like, we can't get it to work. So, my guess is the guy that does it there, he's put the money into it because I don't. They're like what, $5,000 or more for a good system, and then you got to come home and make sure it's like super perfect. Hey, I agree with you there. There's probably not a small powder coater in America that doesn't have a fridge full of beer. All right, I'll have to look. I'm gonna take a note because I like to look those companies up that do it and do it successfully. I would love to get into it. I'm just very fearful of it. They're probably not going to give me monetization on this video for drinking beer. It's worth it though. So what else going on? Anyone else have any other questions or anything? I should probably tell people about these before I do them. Any of you guys enjoying a cold beer? I may have seen his page because I've seen a guy who does NFL helmets and like college. Colton's dad, walk away from that. I'm not even kidding. Unless you have a guy local that does chroming and can remove all that chrome, just leave. Chrome, I think we did one set and they were perfect. And I've lost so much sleep wondering if the powder's going to fail. But we do a ton of motorcycle parts that are chrome and we've never had an issue. One of the guys is one of my good buddies, and we did almost every piece of chrome on his bike 3 years ago, and they're all holding up really good. But with wheels, you got the turning, they're kicking up rocks, they're kicking up debris. It just scares me too much to even mess with them. It's not worth the money. I tell them to go find a pair of aftermarket wheels or used wheels, bring them to me, I'll black them out, and they'll look just as good. All right, Mr. Harp, I appreciate that. If you need anything, just let me know. Yeah, if you're gonna powder coat over chrome, you need to put a profile in it. You can't just go over it. I mean, some people they'll do like the candy colors over it, but I wouldn't warranty it because one rock chip and it's just gonna delaminate. And you need to explain that. If you're gonna do something like that, just tell your customer, look, I can powder coat over this, but in the long run, it's not going to last. It'll look cool for a while. If you take care of it, it's going to be okay. But a rock chip or a scratch or something like that, and you're out of luck. Yeah, I mean, chrome rims just I I pass. Yep. I just tell them, and I don't know where you live, but I'm in Iowa, and our winters and the salt that they put down on the roads, it beats the crap out of chrome. So almost all, once they start flaking, it's hard for you to get an area that's not going to lose its grip on that wheel. You're going to powder coat over it. When that chrome comes off, it's just going to take the paint with it. So what else is going on? Yeah, I've been to North Carolina. It's gorgeous out there, and I'd love to come out and just drive around while you guys are all shut down. If you can drive a stock car on or any race car on dirt, you can drive in the snow. Yep. Yeah, Jordan, if you do it right and they take care of them, they can look awesome and they'll work really well. Yeah, I hear you, Mr. Harp. I don't need beer to get motivated. I need beer to get through the end of my day. I work pretty hard, so I don't we powder coat so many things. So we'll do wheels mostly, but then we do custom parts. We do these bike racks for this guy that does motorcycle racks, and it's just satin black. But just when you actually enjoy powder coating, you'll know, because you'll take a raw piece of steel, you'll put paint on it, and you'll be like, oh my God, that's beautiful, no matter what it is. So just that joy of taking something ugly and making it pretty is what I like about powder coating. And if you can like it at that minute of a level, you'll probably make it as a powder coater. Yeah, Jordan, I think a customer knowing that he has to take care of that kind of stuff is a big deal. So it's setting that expectation when you do a polished wheel or a chrome wheel. Hey, we're putting a top coat on this. The adhesion quality is garbage. Don't run this thing down a gravel road. Don't beat it up. And wherever you go change your tires, make sure that they take care not to scratch them. You know, if you appreciate what a piece looks like when you're done, no matter how hard you worked on it, then you're cut out to powder coat for life. Ben, I haven't heard from you in a while. Is that engine coming along good? Lars, it depends what your goal is, actually. I mean, we do a lot of custom stuff, but I don't think we make money doing it. So it depends what your ultimate goal is. If you want a highlight reel to show people, like I did this, then your holy grail is going to be custom work. If you want money, then mass produce parts where you can do hundreds or thousands of parts is where the money's at. Honest to God. I mean, because it's so hard to quote somebody who wants four colors on a sign. I mean, you're going to tell them, I want $250 for this. And they're going to be like, no, I'm not paying that. It's like, okay, take it somewhere else. But if you did those four colors on a sign, you're going to be like, this is amazing. It looks great. But to make money, I've found it's in our mass produced parts that come to us. The big orders. We did these like rectangle racks that Fab Shop was doing for like a silo or something, on an elevator on a silo. We did like 120 of them. I've never made so much money powder coating, and they were super easy, super quick. We got them in, we got them out, and we made a killing on them. And I'm like, when are you going to bring me more? And they're like, oh, we're good for a while. And I'm like, no, bring me more. Let's see. Handrails. So Jordan, do you make the hand, like, do you fab them up, or are you just coating them? I don't know what a Renzetti fly tying vise is. How do you like the cool code? I'm trying to get them to send it to me, but they won't. Lars, we are currently waiting for our plasma table. We just bought it about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they gave us a 4 to 6 week wait time. So that'll be a video coming up. We just, in our shop that you've probably seen in the videos, we just did a 12 by 20 room right next to our office so that we can air condition it, because I want to get it out of the shop, out of the dust and out of the corrosion. But we bought a Boss table from Decorah, Iowa. They're not too far from us. It's about a 3 hour drive. Um, he sold me on the fact that it's a high quality table. He's close and local, and he's going to give us a day of training on it before we even pick it up. So I've got 2 employees that work for me, and we're all going to go up there and we're going to spend a day with them working on it. So I don't know much about CAD design or anything like that, but I used to do the laser etching, so I know how to take an image and convert it over to different files and make sure that it works out. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't want to get into the science too much, but I really want to find a product to mass produce. And actually, Benjamin here, on his channel, he builds the four-wheelers and stuff, and he does motor work, and we're going to design a custom engine stand for him. So that's going to be exciting. What do you charge for a set of 19-inch rims with a single Colt? So Colton's dad, on wheels, it depends. So we have a lot of dealerships that we work with, and they get a priority rate or a wholesale rate with us because they tend to do more business. So we usually for a 19-inch rim, we'll do $125, but we're also for our dealerships, we're picking that car up, we're bringing it back, we're dismounting the tires, breaking down the sensors and all that stuff, stripping, powder coating, remount balance, all that stuff, and then taking it back for that price. If they want their center caps painted, I just spit. If they want their center caps painted, we charge a little extra for that. For retail, we're usually $10 to $15 more per wheel, depending upon the condition, because a lot of those guys have curb rash, which we'll fix. And I gotta go get my battery plugged in here, and that sort of thing. So, and it's market. I've heard of people powder coating wheels for $65, which I think is insane because I mean it's a day process for us to do them. So let me get my charge. I'll be right back. All right, Jordan, that's a good deal. If you've got people pumping you work, we've got about 3 custom fabricators. They're not custom. We do some interior parts for a combine company, and then we've got a guy that makes the motorcycle chucks, and then we've got another manufacturing company that sends us stuff randomly. But we were a wheel repair company, so our big business is working with dealers and customers to redo their wheels. So, like I say in Iowa, we are the best at wheels in Iowa. There's no one that can touch us. So, yeah, 125 per wheel, Colton. Yeah, quoting is super hard with powder, especially on custom jobs, and that's kind of why you make more money on the big jobs because I usually tell someone, give me a sample piece, we'll powder coat it for free, and then you're going to know exactly what you have in it so that you can multiply that out based on how many they're going to give you. And the more you can hang at one time, the better, obviously, too. Really, Ben, what's my favorite color? I miss that, Leighton. Oh, we're in Zeddy Fly type eye spaces. Lars, you got a plasma cam. I looked at them, but I don't remember exactly what their reviews and stuff were. Mine was not cheap. It was super expensive. I did buy the Hypertherm 85. And then we got a new Miller welder. Yeah, Leighton, I really don't know what you're talking about with the fly tying vice base. I really don't have a favorite color, honestly. I don't. Bud Light, are you hating on my beer, Jimmy? I really don't have a favorite color. The candies are always kind of cool. I like to mess with people with the illusions because, like, if they order one, you put the base on, it's totally wrong, and they're like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "Just wait." And so those are kind of fun. Um, Best advice for a guy starting out: don't listen to people on Facebook. They're find a If you can find someone locally or someone that you trust who's been powder coating for a while, listen to them. There's so many hobbyists out there, and that's kind of why I started my channel. I'm not going to say I give the best information, but it comes from a really good place. And I've taken classes. I've worked with the GEMA rep. I've worked with people that have been in the industry for 20 years, so most of my information comes from other people's like longevity in the business. The best thing you can do is just learn everything you can, but um, you also need to know what equipment you're using because my advice for $100 gun is going to be totally different than my advice for a $6,000 gun. So you got to know um, what you're using and how to use that because a Eastwood gun is going to spray way different than a Gema gun. So, thus advice drinking Bud Light. Don't drink Bud Light. It's not that bad, people. Jay, yeah, I got started. So I own a wheel repair business, and my main business, we had a mobile trailer that we went around and we would work on dealership cars for like curb rash and stuff. So we did all liquid paint, and then we had a lot of people that were asking for black wheels. And when you're in a mobile environment, we had a rack, you put the two wheels on it, you'd be painting it and sanding on it and all that stuff in the same area. So painting the wheels black was not a good idea because there's so much dust in the air. We did have a downdraft system in it, but it still wasn't enough. So the best option was to get into powder coating, and I started at home with an Eastwood gun, an old oven, like a household oven, and doing small parts for my Corvette. And I go, okay, well, let's just blow this up. So I built my own oven. I've got a 5 wide, 5 deep, 6 foot tall oven. I built that based off stuff I found offline. And then I bought the B17 with the little yellow container, bought a decent, like $3,000 cabinet, and we just jumped into it. And luckily, actually, Benjamin, who's on here, he works at one of the dealerships that we work with. And I was super lucky. Him and his side guy, they're both managers. They brought us in and let us do a ton of work for them. And without them, I honestly don't think we would have made it. But that's how I got into it. So they kind of gave me the experience on wheels that I needed to keep it going. But you just got to try and try and try. I mean, powder coating is when you first start out, you're going to pull your hair out because you're like, oh, it's so simple. You just spray it on and cook it. Well, there's about a million things that can go wrong until you fix all those problems and get your process down. You're never going to have a smooth run at it. Buy stuff that makes things faster. Yep. If I always tell people buy the best equipment you can because it's going to make your life easier. That's for sure. Jimmy, I appreciate your kind comments there. If you use Parker's Ionics and you go to a Gema, you're going to be amazed. I actually just converted a shop in Iowa here from those guns to the Gema gun. We are saving them over 30% in powder usage because the Gema guns charge the cloud that much better and they're wasting way less powder. And they go through like 30 boxes a week, 30, 50-pound boxes a week. Yeah, I want to try the Cool Coat gun. I just need them to send it to me. Oh, okay. Fly fishing vice. Okay, I got you, Lars. Lionel, I use B17. It's nasty. I hate it. I don't want to use it. Until I get a better sandblasting setup, we're just gonna have to. It works really, really well. I just don't enjoy it. We've got a fresh air system outside of we have a chemical room, and then we have tanks on top of spill pallets, and then we have fresh air system outside with a hose that runs into the building. You put a mask on to get fresh air. We've got all the PPE, the gloves, the apron, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you're wearing the right like boots, because if you wear like tennis shoes that have like the mesh on them, that stuff will get through it. B17 is not a joke. It's a nasty chemical, but it strips paint and powder really well. Reeds, I have not used the PCS 1000. That's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. I haven't read good reviews on it, and I don't know if that's because people don't know how to use it or if the gun's no good. I've reached out to them and tried to get them to send me one so I can try it, but I have not had any luck getting one. Jay, you are very welcome. Yep, Jordan. Air is everything. That's the first thing I look at when shops are having issues is where does your air come from and how do you clean it? Jimmy, what's going on? Why was it your worst week ever? Leighton, I haven't tried their stripper, but I'm guessing it's similar to the B7. A lot of people rip that recipe off or buy it and rebrand it. Jordan, my strip tank, we actually had custom built, and I don't remember the exact dimensions, but I can fit up to a 22-inch wheel straight down. I can fit 4 of them in a tank. And so we have a strip tank, and then we have a rinse tank, and then we have a wash tank. So we'll strip them, rinse them, and then a wash tank to spray them off. Jimmy, if you can afford a Gema, it is the best gun on the market. They don't cost the most for no reason. I'm going to tell you right now. And I don't know where you live, but if you have a good distributor, they will come out, they'll set it up, they'll teach you how to use it, and you'll just be as happy as can be. Colton's dad, I've not tried rim strip, but I've heard really good things. I've heard it's about $100 less a barrel and it works just as good. Recently I heard that from one of my customers, so we may be trying it soon. Yep. Yep, Leighton. That's yeah, I think I pay like 825 to 850 a barrel for B17. I heard it's about $100 cheaper. So Jimmy, you've tried the PCS. I don't know if it's less volatile. I think it just smells less. The shop I was in, I could smell it, and the owner told me it works pretty well. And maybe, I mean, maybe if it kills you less, it's worth it to try. I don't know. I don't know how your dust collector's set up, Jimmy, but you may want to see if you can pump it outside. I don't know where you live or if you have neighbors, but sometimes you can put an exhaust fan, blow it outside. I've seen people just literally dump it outside. If you have neighbors, you may have to like build a containment system for it. Don't buy the Arbor Freight. So I do buy tools from Arbor Freight. We get all of our black gloves from there because they're a good price. They've raised them a little bit because they gave away their entire collection to the essential workers, which I can't hate on because that's a good move. But yeah, if you're looking for quality tools, that's not where you shop. And I have a lot of their tools, so I know. Lars, I don't know about the trade shows. I know FabTech has, because I work with a lot of these companies that are going there. I know FabTech has a lot of people pulling out of it. I don't think they've closed the show or anything. And I've gone to SEMA. I don't know if any of you guys have been to SEMA, but SEMA's amazing. And I haven't heard anything about, I keep getting flyers like, are you coming this year? Sign up. So I don't know if any of those are ending or not. Jimmy, what did you have your settings on for your second coat? I'm going to take your Colton. Who sells it? Who sells rim strip? Ben, my honest opinion on my paint booth is I have only used it once, so I do still plan on painting my Corvette in there. It's just taking a lot longer to strip the Corvette than I thought. If you ever want to borrow it, let me know. Okay, so unlike the dust collector, you guys are using the like the one meant for woodworking, I assume, with the bag. What did you drop your KVs to? And what were they at before? Were they at 100? Yeah, the sawdust is a little bit lighter material than most sandblasting, so you're going to rip through them. I mean, you're literally throwing sand into a bag, so it's going to rip it apart. Okay, if you were at 100 and you dropped to 35, that should have worked. So, yeah, it's probably a piece of crap gun. I don't know. I haven't used it. If you guys haven't liked this live video yet, there's 20 of you in here. Give me that big old thumbs up. Well, I wasn't going to buy it. I have a Gima, so I don't need it. But I was trying to get them to send it to me. Maybe now I know why they won't. They probably watched some of my videos and they're like, crap, this guy's going to be honest. They did send me their dent puller machine, which I shot a ton of footage for because I bought a Hell Dent car, and they're probably pissed off that I haven't uploaded that yet. It works okay if you know what you're doing. So what else is everyone working on? What other questions you guys have? Also, if you comment, like if I started doing these more often, what would be a good time for them? Because I'm on the road like 2 to 3 times a week. Faraday cage areas. Well, with that PCS gun, I'm guessing you're screwed. So. Accounting sucks. Are you an accountant? I'm pretty good at accounting. I took accounting 101 and 102 twice in college. That's how much I liked it. No, but seriously, Ben, do you have my engine done yet? The Parker now. Okay, I gotcha. So what settings do you run on your Parker? Like what do you mean by numbers? Like pricing out projects or? So you bought the Eastwood gun and now you want to crush it. That could be a good video. You might get some viral likes off of that. Does your Parker can you not control the microamps with the Parker? Because if you can control microamps, that's a big deal in those Faraday areas. So on the Gima gun, the micro setting is actually, I think, or the Faraday setting for microamps is 22. Yeah, if you're a single member LLC, I mean, just treat everything separate. I mean, there's no need to be confused about business and personnel. Um, if you have any questions on that specifically, just ask. I've had an LLC for 8 years now, so Yeah, I mean, if you can adjust your microamps down to 22, that's what the GEMA recommended setting is. Their guns can actually go under 10, which a lot of your cheaper guns cannot do. That's not a big deal. You can loan your business money. It's like taking a loan from a bank. The only problem is your income um, for the company also gets calculated into your personal. But you can, so my wife and I own my business or my building, and my business rents it back or pays rent to us. So it's not a bad deal because I get it as a business, I get to write off that rent and I have to take it as income on the personal side, which is the same way as your loan. So when you pay back that loan from your business, you get to write that off, but you have to show it as income. But you can also expense anything associated with providing that loan, which we do at the building. So any upgrades to the building or anything like that are insurance on the building. We write all that off on the personal side, but I get to write anything off I do on the business side too, as far as rent or updates. 8 by 8 by 7. Um, where's your burner at, and how do you heat it? Okay, sorry, Bobby. I'm not sure. I'll start reading them before I. So GPS says when's the fan necessary on an 8 by 8 by 7. So it's a propane heated oven, but where's the burner at? I assume it's on the back. And so when I do measurements, it's usually height, width, depth. I've never watched YouTube on my TV. I should try that. But yeah, I think Jordan's probably right. With that big of an oven, you're going to want the air to be moved forward. And obviously, heat rises. So if you can put channels on the bottom on each side and push that heat from the back to the front, and then it'll rise up. You're still going to heat up more in the back than you are the front. So I always suggest putting a part in there that kind of fills up the area, and then you can take checkpoints to see how it cooks. Kind of like a grill. Whenever you buy a grill, they always cook a little different. Um, so you just want to make sure that you're not overheating a certain part and undercuring a different section of the same part. They're Bud Lights, sir. I don't drink heavy. Oh, I see. I have my burner running from the side with the deflection plate. So my concern would be how far is that heat getting to the other side? Like, is it, I assume you're deflecting down to push it down along the floor or to keep it from burning that side of the oven. Yeah, Jordan, you gotta, the, yeah, the fans are tricky. I don't build ovens, so these aren't really the best questions for me, but you can buy different Hertz motors that push different amounts of air. So you would have to talk to somebody about how much air movement you need for the size of your oven to figure out the power of the motor. 400,000 BTU fan forced on the side. That's a lot of BTU for that oven. Well, that's probably about right. Straight across and moves up from the deflection point. You're on the phone and oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So on TV, do you not see the comments? Is that what you guys are saying? That's kind of crap. Gotcha. Okay. This is good information. Like I said, this is my first like actual live. So the fact that we've been between like 15 and 20 is pretty impressive. I appreciate it. I mean, that's what I started the channel to help people because there's so much bad information out there and it was driving me nuts. I mean, the only advice anyone ever gave was like crank your KVs down or spray it hot. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. On some of the guns you do, but like if you have a good ground, you have a decent gun, you should never have to spray your stuff hot. I mean, you can, that's fine if you're good at it, but yeah, Lars, I apologize about my face. It's not the best thing I got going for me there. All right, Bobby's figured it out, guys. So those of you watching it on TV, you need to just follow what he just said. Yeah, Jimmy. Um, we practiced that on a wheel actually, and we did gloss black, and then we just started throwing powder at it, and we overdid it. So we kind of, because you kind of get excited, and you're like, oh, that looks cool, and you just keep throwing stuff at it. So we kind of learned on that one, less is more when you're doing the star appearance. And then with the white, we were just kind of like pinching it out of our fingers, and that would just put little dots like perfectly. We've also, I don't know if you guys have seen we have a wheel with our Rim Right logo in it. And we actually did that with a stencil and we liquefied the powder and sprayed it in there with an HVLP. Jimmy, your comments keep making me have to okay them because you're using curse words, I think. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have, no, you're fine. I don't care. If you've looked at some of our older videos, we were like super bored when we first started. We moved into our shop, we were a little bit slower, and we started just powder coating anything we could. So there's a video of us doing a Pringles chip. There's a video of us doing a golf ball. There's a video of us doing like the club face, and then I think we uploaded. There's a video of me actually like trying them out to see if it held up because I think we just heated it with like a heat gun. But we did a T-shirt. We were just throwing powder on everything. I powder coated a leaf too. Um, so it depends on the powder. So our high quality powder that we do for wheels, we get from Tiger. They're wet black. We do their satin colors, and I don't remember the names of them. We've got our rep there. We basically just tell him, hey, we need more of this, and he gets it coming. For like reds, whites, yellows, greens, we do APC powder coating. They're out of Illinois. And then for all of our custom colors, prismatic is our go-to. You got it, Lars. I'm here to help. Vizio. I've never heard of Black Label. Yeah, they're wet black. So we've used prismatic ink black. We've used IFS, whatever their gloss black is. Diamond Vogel. Um, APC's wet black. The only wet black I've actually liked is a Tiger. They all tend to get like little tiny pinholes, like they're not perfect. Um, but Tiger's by far, we do so many black wheels. If Ben's still on here, he'll account. I think we have 3 sets from his dealership right now. They aren't all gloss black, but we do a lot of gloss black, and it's by far the best. Call Victor Pate. Fantastic black. Who's Victor Pate? Where does he work? And what's BLC? Victor owns, oh, Black Label. Okay. Where are they out of? Where's Black Label out of? If you just Google the Tiger Drylac, it's not dry land, but Drylac. You can call them and they'll assign you a sales rep. Black, Caveman Black. I don't spray it. So I own a Columbia Coatings oven and a booth, but I don't spray a lot of their powder. Yeah, Coltonstad. I know it's a typo. I'm just giving you shit. East Tennessee. Okay, I'll have to look them up. I'm gonna make another note. Is Black Label Coatings like a repacker, or do they actually produce their own powder? Satin Black is actually, I mean, you could put on tons of stuff if you're doing like brackets or a lot of people like it on their wheels. Like if they've got that satin black texture on their car, I try and push them to that just because it kind of matches and makes it look cool. If you don't have a red, white, or black car, I try and push them away from gloss black. We usually do a matte or a semi. Yeah, powder by the pound sends it in bags, I think, Jordan. He says he uses a lot of the Columbia coating powder. We've bought some of their stuff, but when you're spraying out of like a box unit, those containers are just kind of a pain in the butt, and you end up pouring them in a bag anyways. Yeah, handlebars are good for satin too. I don't think Columbia Coatings makes their own powder. it I do you guys or everyone on here, the fifth or 14 of you that are left, have you ever seen how powder's made? While you do that, I'm gonna grab another beer. The 14 of us that appreciate your time. Well, I appreciate you guys. Hey, I work hard. I earn these beers. So if you guys haven't seen how powder's made, it's actually pretty cool. So I did a class down in Houston with the Powder Coating Institute, and we were in the Exalta plant down there, and they took us through the actual factory, and it's pretty generic. It's almost like going through like a food factory in a sense because they bring in all the raw ingredients. So they have like the resins, the pigments, the fillers, the binders, and they all just come in big bags, like pallet-sized bags. And then they've got a hopper that they pour all this stuff into with a mixer. And it all gets, excuse me, it all gets mixed and down through a funnel. And then it goes through an extruder that mixes it even more with heat. And it lays it out into a flat sheet. And it runs along a conveyor belt where it cools and it becomes like a gel, like if you were to gel out powder. And then they run it through a chipper and it literally breaks it into like what you would think of like a tortilla chip, and it rolls into another bag, and then they move that bag and they put it through a pulverizer, and the pulverizer basically makes it into the powder. So it's not as detailed as you would think, but the equipment is super expensive. So a company like Columbia Coatings, and there's nothing against them because I use their equipment, but there's no way that they have the facilities to do all this. I mean, the place we were in, they had, I want to say like maybe 8 to 12 different lines where they could do different colors. There's no way Columbia Coatings has a footprint to do that kind of stuff. I mean, this was a massive factory that did it. So, a lot of them buy and resell. I mean, it's really as simple as that. I don't know what powder they're using, but Prismatic Powders does not make 6,500 different colors. There's not a big enough footprint to do that. I like their powders, but they don't make them all. Oh yeah, they will. Jordan says that Powder by the Pound will say that they do it all day long, and it's true. I mean, they're not gonna. When you're selling the powder, you don't want to tell someone you don't make it. Like, oh, I really don't know what goes into this. We just sell it. So I get why they say what they say, but I don't know where it could come from China. I don't know. I'll have to look at that, Jordan. I'm not sure they do. They're a very big company, and they're at all the major trade shows, but I'm not sure that they actually do. Have you not been in the shop, Ben? Who's been working on my motor? Okay, yeah, NIC is a parent company. Why do you need a parent company though? What does NIC do? Okay, I'm gonna have to look into it a little more. I'm not as adverse on the powder side of the world. Okay, yeah, yep. We buy a lot of Cerakote from them. I know it's the same company. I didn't know NIC was like the parent company of them both. I've seen the name before, but yeah. Cerakote's a good business. Headers are huge with us. We do a lot of headers. We just had a local guy in our town that had a gun shop, and unfortunately, he passed away at a heart attack. And one of his business partners came to us to do their Cerakote for him now. And we don't tear apart guns. If you're going to get into that kind of work, you need to know what you're doing when you tear apart a gun so you can put it back together and it's all safe. So we don't tear apart guns. Um, we're going to let them do it, but I'm happy to put some Cerakote on them. Okay, Jordan, I got you. Prismatic was smart then because they're like, hey, we used to charge $4 for a 50 pound or $4 a pound for a 50-pound box. Now we can charge $15 for 3 pounds. So they're making money like crazy now. What is a FFL? I assume it's something with the firearms. Yeah, so I know where I live, if you're gonna handle the guns and you're gonna tear them apart and play with them and put them back together, you have to be licensed, which is why I won't do it. I hunt, I'm a hunter, but I am not familiar enough with like handguns and ARs and all that kind of stuff to feel comfortable taking one apart and making sure I put it back together right. So, not my specialty. I'd rather stick to just putting the coatings on the parts. So I'm more than happy to outsource that to someone who knows what they're doing. And that's a big part of business is just knowing where your lines are and where you need to be in. So if you don't, a lot of guys that powder coat, they'll tear apart pistons or calipers. I won't do it. And I can turn a wrench. I've put mini motors in cars, but I don't want the liability of what I just did not working on your car and your brakes going out. That's not something I want to pay insurance for. So I'm not going to tear it apart. You need to take it to mechanic, have them tear it apart, bring it to me. I'll coat your cal or the housing all you want. So no one who has wanted me to coat gun parts feels comfortable with me taking their guns apart. That's okay, Jordan. I don't. If they're willing to pay someone else to do it and then bring it to you, that's a win-win for you because it's one less thing you have to worry about. It's kind of like three-piece wheels. A lot of people, they like some guys I follow, they do them all day long. I don't see the money in it because of the time it takes to unbolt it, rip it apart, get all the silicone off, clean them all up, tape off all the areas that mate together, and redo it all. I'm like, none of the people, I'm in Iowa, people aren't going to pay that for me to do the work. So if you're in a market that supports that kind of work, then learn how to do it because you can make good money at it. But I know where my market is, and there's 8 guys maybe every 2 years that want me to do that, and it's not worth my time to learn how to do it properly or to take the time to do it. Yep, Jimmy. I mean, if I just had a guy, we just quoted him $600 to do his wheels, and he goes, "You guys do calipers and or rotors or calipers?" And I go, "We can, but you need to have them torn apart." I go, "I need them off the car. I need the pistons out, all the seals out. I need them bare, and you need to have a mechanic do it." And most of them, that's where they get offset because what mechanic's going to tie up a lift or put their car on jack stands while their brakes are off for a couple of days? It's nice if they buy new ones that they're going to install, then you can do them no problem. Yeah, Jordan, I forget if you told me where you live or not. Was it Tennessee? Here in Iowa, everyone and their mother has guns, so they kind of just assume everyone knows how to take them apart. And it's not that I don't know how; it's just I don't want to. So, absolutely, like yeah, I mean, skilled labor is skilled labor, and it's you need to know what you're going to offer in the market and whether it's worth your time to do it. Yeah, Jimmy. I mean, I tell people like, especially on like motorcycles, they bring their forks and stuff, and I go, when I quote the stuff, I go, it needs to be torn down. It needs bearings, gaskets, seals, all that stuff torn out. And if it shows up with grease, I'm charging you $85 an hour to clean it out. So you can do it before it comes, or I can do it for $85 an hour, but I'm getting paid for that time. And it's about a 50-50. Sometimes they have it pulled out, sometimes they don't. Bobby, how long after cooling down is it okay to use those parts? I don't know what those parts are, but I assume you mean the guns because that's what we've been talking about. But either way, if you're using powder and it's cool, you're good to go. It's fully cured. It's not going to get any more cured. It's not going to get any less cured. If you're using Cerakote and it's a oven dry Cerakote, then once it's cool, you're good to go. If it's air dry, you need to read the data sheets. Um, Everything's a little bit different. I know some of the paints on the air dry side that we use, it's a 7-day cure before you can put them into use, but it's like a 24-hour period before you can touch them. So you got to read the data sheets on them. Yeah, Jordan, if you got a shop that will tear those apart and work with you, you are set up really, really well. Motorcycle still with God knows what. I'm not sure what that means. We will powder coat UTVs. We've done some parts for those, Jerry, but I don't think we have any videos. We've done some roll bars, we've done some roof panels, we've done some wheels. Basically, I'll powder coat anything that fits in my oven. Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, 24-hour dry, 5-day cure. I usually make them wait a week. That's more on the selfish side because I don't want them to mess them up. Jordan, I haven't had any problems with the air dry. We do a lot of headers in it, especially for race season. We have a lot of dirt tracks up here with like modifieds and hobby stocks, and their headers are pretty rusted and beat up, and they like to get them cleaned up. Plus, it's supposed to help with the heat, getting the heat out of the part. So we've actually done the piston coat on some boat motors. A guy that we know, he rebuilds his motor every year, so we've done some of those. Charge for everything. Easy for me to say. Yeah, the hard part is just figuring out the more you do parts, the more you'll know what to charge for them. I still struggle with it. We just had a guy bring us some custom brackets he's making to hang some ag parts. And my brother, who kind of runs a shop daily for me, we're both looking at each other like, are you doing one of these? Or are you doing 50 of these? Because we need to know. So, motorcycles with greasy parts. I need to start charging. Yeah, you got to charge to degrease those parts. Because if you sandblast them, you can't sandblast them till all the grease is out of them. So if we have to clean them out, we'll degrease them, we'll wash them, we'll clean them, and then I'll put them in the oven to make sure we bake it all out because we recycle our media. And if you start sandblasting that with grease and grime on it, it gets on your media, which transfers it to every part you blast after that, and it just ruins your powder. What do you think is the best chrome aluminum base for? Bobby, I hate chrome bases. I hate high bright silver powder coats. I think they're garbage, but unfortunately, it's a necessity. And Prismatic got rid of their super chrome, and I don't even remember what they're recommending, but I just ordered a couple pounds of it. Some silver, like a polished silver or something. Maybe someone else knows. And we just did a retro stove that we had to put that as a base coat to put a transparent gold on top, and it worked pretty good. But the best thing you can do when you're quoting that kind of stuff is set your customer up for failure. Tell them it's going to look ugly, it's going to suck, you're not going to like it. Um, and that way they're not disappointed when they see it and they don't like it. Like you need to way undersell it. Tell them it looks like crap and it's not going to look good. And if they're like, okay, that's fine, when they see it, they'll be like, oh, well, you were dramatic. That wasn't that big of a deal. So that's my advice. Undersell the crap out of that to your customer. Just make them know it's not going to be chrome. It's going to look like a really dull, polished wheel. And that's how I sell it. Let's see. Motorcycle. Is there any durability difference, or is the only benefit to oven cure the turnaround time? I really don't know, Jordan. I assume the oven cure is probably a little bit better, to be honest with you. The majority of people that use it for firearms, they're doing oven, they're not doing air. The air cure is cheaper. I know the product's cheaper, but that's a good question. I'll have to look into that. Who do you believe has the best powders? Adam, I don't. It depends what you're doing, honestly. There's a right powder for every project. There really is. I mean, if you're doing small custom colors, prismatic is probably one of the best. There's a lot of people that use like powder by the pound for that kind of stuff, but I stick to prismatic unless I have to switch. For general colors where you're not super worried about the finish, I use APC because the price point is right. But Exalta, PPG, Tiger, they all have good powders. You just got to figure out what works best for you. Yep, Jamie, polished aluminum, that's what we used from Prismatic for our base coat on top of canned, or it's like a gold clear coat, transparency color. Yeah, the Illusion series from Prismatic is really neat. I Every time you do a part in that and then you clear coat it and it comes out, you just smile. It's a good look in any of them. I've done a ton of them. I have not seen the Crack series. Is that from Prismatic, Jimmy? 22 a foot for Cerakote. Jimmy, if you can crank it out for that, that's not a bad price. We've got, I don't know how to word it, but it's probably an eight. We have this guy, he brings us brackets, I was saying before. There's one that's probably about 10 inches long, and then there's one that's like 6 inches, and then there's a tubular one that holds a scope, and we're getting $25 a part when we do them bulk. So if it's not a one-off, because I mean, you think about it, you got to run the part for an hour, cool it down, run it for another hour, and that's after you do all the degreasing, blasting, and all that. So it's not that it's hard work, but you have a lot of time in it. So I always go off time. And if I'm only doing one part and it's taking up that much time, I got to charge a little more for it. Yes, transparent gold, Jimmy. That is what we sprayed on. We had a retro stove. It was like 5 foot tall. We did it in a satin black, and then he wanted accent pieces in silver and transparent gold. And we sprayed it. And I wasn't there. My brother did it, and he called me and he goes, it pulled from the edges. All the color in the clear pulled from the edges. And I go, okay, what are you going to do? And he goes, well, we scuffed it up. We sprayed it again. And it turned out great. I'm like, okay. So those transparents are kind of a pain in the butt. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out the Illusion Crack series. We don't do a lot of like the vein or wrinkled ones. Yep, edge pull. I hate it. Whites do it horribly every time we shoot white. I actually have a video on how to recoat it so it covers. You can also sand down those hard edges, but sometimes you got to keep that hard edge. Anyone else have any questions? We're an hour and a half into this. What kind of tanks, Jimmy? I mean, overall, he asked if we have any runs in tanks hanging vertically. I don't get a lot of runs because we don't spray hot. I don't think I've ever powder coated a gas tank, to be honest with you. To get a run in powder, you've got to really put it on. Really? What color? Yep, Jordan, you're absolutely right. If you dust on a first coat, um, and then do a partial cure and then recoat, you'll prevent that pulling. I don't window framing. I really don't have issues with unless we're doing a metallic. Bobby, Bob, you can make that a hard iced tea. Partner. So Jimmy, you did a white or a pearl white. Did you? The only pearl white I've ever done, we had to do a three-stage coating for it. So we had a base, the pearl, and the clear. Is that what you had? Jerry, I we don't do a ton of rework. We have some parts that have some it well, it comes down to whoever's spraying powder, honestly, Jerry. So if you slow down, take your time, grab your flashlight, check your parts. We don't have a lot of light work. We if we have a set of wheels that come out and there's too much debris in them or too many defects, we'll strip them and redo them, but that's rare. Really, you just have to set your shop's expectations of what's okay to send out and what's not. And you got to talk to your customer, figure out what's okay to send out and what's not. On wheels, we need about 98% perfection, especially on the face. If the face isn't clean and there's defects, we strip them. But if you get in the backside and we have less than a 2-3% defection rate, we aren't going to worry about it because you're never going to see it. But if it's bad back there, if something happened, we didn't see it, we strip it and redo it. So you only have one shot at keeping a customer, even if you've had them for a year. If you send a product, I can't tell you how many people I've picked up, customers that said, well, they used to be good, but now this is happening or that's happening or it's taking longer. That's a good way to lose a customer, is to stop caring about their quality. If they're not a big customer and you've replaced them with bigger customers, and you don't need them anymore, you're better off just saying, hey man, we appreciate your business, but we just can't take care of you, and help them find a new powder coater because you just look like an asshole and they're going to tell everyone else that your product sucks, that you don't care, and that sort of thing. So it's better to be honest with them and be like, hey, we appreciate your business, but we just can't help you right now, and help them find a new coder, than it is to just start not caring about what you're giving them. Let's see. Marked Pony. Marked Pony, ever heard of it? I don't have any idea what you're talking about. My Ducati has 25 coats of KL primer block sanded down to smooth out the dents, and 5 more coats on top of that. Jordan, do you have a mil gauge? Because I would love to know how thick that is. Jimmy, I've never heard of a single stage pearl white. I'll have to look into that. It might just be the way it was made up, that when it flows, it gets super runny. I don't know. Yeah, Jimmy. So there's a saying in the auto body world, when you're painting and you get a run, they tell you to chase that fucker to the edge. So if you're clear coating it and you get a run, they tell you just wash it out till it flows off the edge of the panel. So Bobby, is Marked Pony a powder coating gun? Yes, Leighton. 80-20. It's a good rule. unless you only have 2 customers. Jimmy, if you're powder coating for Harley Davidson, I would take care of that customer. And some of my smaller customers are super demanding, but I try to project what they're going to do in the future with me. And one of them, he's fairly small, but he's growing very quickly. So we bend over backwards to make sure we take care of him. And the other thing you can do, Jimmy, with that, we actually, because this customer, he's small, but sometimes he'll bring us 500 parts and he's like, I need them tomorrow. We've implemented a rush fee. So he has his flat fee, but then he has a rush fee. So you can create a percentage of whatever you want. We have a 25% rush fee. So he knows that if he wants it back in 1 to 2 days, we're going to charge him an extra 25% on everything. And they understand that because they know that they aren't your only customer usually. And you can pick whatever percentage you want. I mean, we went off based on how much work it takes to actually do his parts. Yeah, I think Harley's probably in their heads they've earned that right to demand whatever they want. I would just be proud to be doing their parts. I'd be putting that stuff all over social media trying to drive up your other business. So I think I'm going to hang out for about 2 more minutes. We're almost pushing an hour 45, and I was thinking only an hour. So the time has actually flown by for me. I don't know how you guys have felt about it, but yeah, Jimmy, I mean, that's amazing. If I could have Harley, I'd be stoked. That's a pat on the back when you have a tier 1 type of company that you're powder coating for. Hire someone, bring some help in, make them do it. That's what I did. I'm not busting my ass anymore. Anyone got any last minute questions? I've got 1 more minute here. Otherwise, no one commented, but feel free to send me a message if you have suggestions on the best time to run these. My brother, he works with me, he does a lot of powder coating. I'd love to do like a after work hangout, drink a couple beers, and talk about powder coating with you guys. We have local dealers that we do powder coating for. That's for sure. But I thought you meant like you were powder coating stuff for the manufacturing part of Harley. Yeah, Bobby, let me know like a best time. That's the thing. Like I'm actually really impressed with how many people joined on this. So I appreciate all you guys stopping in and asking questions and chatting with me because when you only have like 1,700 followers, you don't know if anyone's going to show up or not. Thank you, everybody. I really do appreciate it. I will be back, I promise. If you have time, leave a comment on this video and let me know when you would like to do it again because, yeah, obviously not during business hours. I get that. I don't have time to do them during all of my videos that I record for you guys. Unfortunately, are nights and weekends because I don't have. We just go during the day, so it's hard to be like, slow down. I got to take a video of this and tell them to stop. So, anything I can do to help you guys, I'm gonna check out. I do appreciate you guys all interacting with each other. That's what it's all about. Drink a couple beers and explain or talk it out. I mean, it sounds like a lot of guys in this group have quite a bit of experience, so I think that's a good thing for everyone. So with that, I'm going to end the video and I will see you guys later.